We are back here with the two-player podcast, which we have long neglected because we were doing the Overworld podcast at Forbes, and then that got canned, and yeah.
Could come back, maybe, but it's probably easier to just record our own.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I mean, it's just, I don't think it's worth it having to work with, another team in a different place, and just, I don't know. It was fine. It was all fine, but we were basically just doing what we're doing here anyway, so we might as well just do it here.
Mm-hmm.
But we are also doing a separate Walking Dead podcast.
What's the title of the podcast, Eric?
Oh, it's a really clever title. It's called The Walking Dead Podcast with Eric Kane and Paul Tassi.
Yes.
That's us.
Brilliant. This should be like the video gaming podcast with Eric Kane and Paul Tassi.
Podcast about digital video games. We had a lot of ideas for that one, but I guess in the end, it just kind of it just felt right to go with something super generic.
Yep.
And also I just wanted to get it done.
Buried 10 miles deep and nonstop annoying us.
One of the ones I've been playing a lot of is Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which I need to now write a review of.
I forgot about the actual review.
Yeah, I know. Well, it feels so almost secondary in importance, like compared to all the other things we write these specific posts about games. The review kind of takes a back seat sometimes.
Yeah.
I really like it. I wish there was a campaign though.
It felt so weird to start the game up and it's like, what do I do? I would always play the campaign first, just as kind of a warm up. So you can do these single player tutorials that vaguely have story attached to them, but it's I appreciate the effort, but they might as well not even have bothered.
Yeah.
And those are pretty tedious. You have to win a match against bots, which is hilarious. To get 8 seconds of a 3-minute cutscene that explains the quote unquote plot of Black Ops 3. I got through 3 of them out of 10 or 12 or however many there are. I'm like, all right, that's enough. So then I just went into Blackout, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth.
Yeah, and Blackout's good. I have to say I'm much more invested in the traditional multiplayer than Blackout. And I honestly wish instead of a battle royale mode that they'd had a war mode from World War II. And just in Black Ops 4 gameplay, and style, because
it's a better fit probably for the series.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I like battle royale games. I'm not against more and more of them coming out. But there's a certain pacing to them that works really well with something like Fortnite, and the fact that Fortnite has multiple modes 50 versus 50 and these limited time modes that kind of change up how the game works, but you're not just playing solos, duos, and squads in Fortnite. You have a lot of options, and here it's I don't know, it's fun, but there's something about it. I just want to respawn and go back into the match.
Yeah, it feels weird because Call of Duty and multiplayer has always been a series where it's spawn, get a couple kills, die, spawn, get a couple kills, die, and
or die,
or just die on repeat when you're getting spawn killed. But and there are moments like that in Blackout, and I guess you can get revived if you're playing squads and you don't get immediately executed, which almost never happens. Right. But it is just way different to only have one life and to have to be kind of stacking armor so you can survive one-on-one fights, and the one-on-one fights feel different because everyone is stacking armor and stuff they wouldn't normally have in the campaign for the most part, or in multiplayer for the most part, and it's way more spread out. So you have a lot of the times you have some really ridiculously long engagement distances, which you just that's never been a Call of Duty thing outside of a couple enormous sniper maps, but even then not so much. So it is fun. It's just very not Call of Duty. I guess the physical gunplay is the same, but it kind of runs counter to everything we've had in Call of Duty for a decade now. Whereas when this mode pops up in Battlefield, it won't feel nearly as different there because they've already been doing these big sprawling big team battles forever. So
Yeah, well, I find myself thinking about like, okay, well, I can load up a blackout match, and I'm gonna, have to load in. It's gonna take some time to get to parachute down and do all that stuff, and then I'm gonna gear up, and then like I could just die, and then I'd have to do all that again, and it's time consuming. Like it really is time consuming. And multiplayer, on the other hand, it's like you just play, you play and play and play and play and play and play and play, and like then the
well, and the
match is
unlock
over and you
system
load
is
up a
way
new
better,
one.
and like
Oh
because
yeah,
like there
the unlock
essentially
system
is
is
no unlock
fantastic.
system in Blackout, which is
Yeah,
bizarre. And like I get that you can unlock like attachments and things like that you would normally unlock, but just the whole, especially compared to Fortnite, whereas like at least each tier you're getting something, but here that's not how it works. And they're introducing this sort of battle pass thing, but it's one that
it's really
spans,
slow.
yeah, it's really slow, and it's one that spans all the modes
Hmm.
for these kind of more general unlocks. So it feels a lot different. But like playing Blackout, when Call of Duty is kind of this feedback loop of nonstop awards and unlocks and like tiers and whatever, it's just progression is like gameplay slower, progression is way slower, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, I don't need it's instant rewards for every game I play ever, but it does feel the whole concept is just like the polar opposite of everything we've kind of come to expect from Call of Duty. Like, not that it's not fun, it's just unusual, I guess I'll
Yeah,
say.
it is. Yeah, I was kind of surprised how I ended up kind of really gravitating towards multiplayer more. It is partly about that feedback loop, like you're saying, and it's a lot of things kind of combined. But I do feel like a campaign would have really tied this whole package together. And honestly, this is one of the things I'm struggling with in my review. Like, does this game get docked for not having a campaign like every other game in this series has had? Like,
This is why I feel like the IGN thing of just scoring everything separate is probably the way to go at this point. I don't know what you're going to do, but like
yeah,
it's like how do you compare zombies to Blackout to multiplayer to like an absent campaign? Like it's three
yeah,
or four different games. It really is. And like I know a lot of games have different modes, and like Destiny has the Crucible and PvE, but like this more than any other game, pretty much ever since they introduced zombies, it's felt like just two or three totally different games with every release.
yeah. No, you're right. It's definitely. How do you review the campaign then? Do I give it 0 out of 10?
I guess I mean I would just do I would just leave it out and just do zombies, Blackout
How does
multiplayer.
Metacritic handle that? Like for IGN
I don't
review,
know. That's a good question. I don't know if
I'm gonna
they've
have to
done all
figure
their
that
scored
out.
reviews yet, but I'd have to look.
Yeah. Well, that's an idea. I guess I'm still wrapping. Now, the other hard thing, the other challenging thing about this review, and is I follow the updates from Treyarch and the Reddit and everything, and all the little like issues, and like there's the tick rate downgrade. The servers are running at like 1/3 of the send rate that they were during the beta.
Yeah,
Like
that seems
that's
bad.
it's bad, right? I mean, I get that it's probably because there's so many people playing and they've had to like make some compensations. But this is a big, huge video game company in Activision that you'd think that they could at least have the servers running optimally, if just even if I don't know. I know it's a complicated business decision on their part, but
Yeah.
it's bad. That does change gameplay, and like, how does that get reflected in the review? But I mean, what if it goes back to 60 hertz in a week?
Yeah, I mean
Then
that's the
what?
question. Is there's so many. This is the problem with like reviews and why we don't really care as much about reviews anymore. Like IGN
Yeah,
had to give like Prey a 4 out of 10 because they got a game breaking bug, and it's like, well, the game doesn't work, so we'll change the score later if it starts working. And like lo and behold, 3 days later they got it working, and it's like I don't know. It
yeah,
gets these really weird, complicated situations.
yeah, yeah. I remember that whole controversy. It is a tough thing to know. Like, there's no right or wrong answer, and Metacritic won't change the score once it's on there, and they have
Oh,
a
they
good
still
reason for that
don't.
too. They
Yeah,
still don't. Well, I mean, their reasoning is because it's to fight against any kind of undue influence. Like if like a publisher tries to
yeah.
retaliate and get a score changed, well, it won't affect the Metacritic score. And I get that. That's keeping everybody honest, but it does lead you to wonder, like,
Yeah, I
well,
mean,
I
I
mean,
could go down this whole rabbit hole again
yeah, this is a whole
forever,
rabbit
but
hole.
I have, like, in short, I think review scores are usually accurate and useful. Places like Metacritic are accurate and useful to a certain extent. That said, I hate scoring games.
Yep,
It's the
that
worst.
sounds about right.
So,
um, so moving on, that's one of the newer games that's come out. I know. There's also the new Spider-Man DLC that I have yet to play. Have you played a little bit of
I
that?
have played like 20 minutes of it, which is
So you
half the
know it
time it's
back to
taken me to
front.
download 2 gigabytes of it on my PS4. And so far, I thought I was under the impression that for some reason we were just gonna be playing as Black Cat the whole time, but that's not true. I mean, you might play as her. I haven't gotten far yet, but so far I'm Spider-Man again, and I'm dying a lot because I forgot all the controls. And I don't know.
Yeah,
It seems fun so far, and it's like a direct continuation of the end of the story. So it's not one of those like DLC like, oh, meanwhile, like
yeah,
this was happening. And so I think that's kind of nice to kind of continue the main story, and it makes me more want to play it because we get more Miles stuff and more MJ stuff, and I think that's good. So far,
man.
I mean, they haven't introduced too much
MJ.
new. There was this mechanic where there was these dudes trying to steal art from a museum, and you had to like knock them all out before they got out while fighting a ton of guys. That was actually really hard, and I failed a bunch of
Yeah,
times on it. And it's like the first mission. I'd probably, once I got the hang of the controls more, I'd be better at it. But so that was kind of interesting. And now Black Cat just showed up, and she's trying to seduce me, of course. So we'll see where that goes. But this is one. This is only like a month and a half after release, so this is one DLC. And I like this game enough where like I enjoyed every second of gameplay essentially, other than the insta fail stealth missions,
yeah.
to the
I
point
hated those
where I
so
was like
much.
really excited to pick this up, and I skipped most DLC these days, so I think that's a good sign for it.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man was just such a slick game overall. Like I love almost everything about it except yeah, this forced stealth missions were really bad. I don't know why you put something so tedious in a game that's mostly so fun, you know? Like I don't understand that impulse. But I think Spider-Man is a great example of how you can do a good open world game that doesn't last forever.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know? I mean, what do you think the campaign took? 20, 30 hours somewhere in that
I'd
range?
say no more than 25. Yeah.
Yeah, like depending on how much you do the side content. Um
Wait, let me look at my save file. I'm sitting right here. Oh, it doesn't say how much time I put into it. Shoot.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
I'm
I
thinking
mean,
in the
I'm at
20s.
94% completion. Like the only stuff I didn't do was like get gold and all the challenges and
Yeah,
take
those are
all the
too hard.
optional photo locations and stuff. But I don't think I put more than 35 hours total into it,
Yeah.
even doing all the side stuff, which is unusual because I mean I just put 77 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and
Yeah.
that was finding all the locations on the map. That was not even clearing all the locations on the map. In addition to the main story, which took 50 hours itself. Which
Yeah.
again, I liked Odyssey a lot, but man, like these games are just there's no reason for that. And
I
then now
know.
we have Red Dead coming to do that again, even though it's probably going to be awesome. But boy, am I not ready to start another 75-hour story.
I know. I see. I get it's like for a lot of people, maybe if it's the only game you've got, then that's great because 70 hours is going to take a long time and really get your money's worth. But I don't know if it's
I
right
don't
for the quality of the game of these games.
I don't
Like
like judging entertainment like that. It's like I
right,
like when TV shows are shorter seasons. I like 10 episode seasons. I don't like 24 episode seasons of TV shows. Or like,
right.
yeah, like you could show me a 9.5 hour movie if I paid $13 for a ticket, and that might be a better value. But like, I don't want to sit there for 9.5 hours, even if it's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
no other
like
forms of media really deal with this to this extent. So it's weird.
yeah. So there's also if people need more to do I say confine the story to 25 hours or so, a good story that you can play through that doesn't take forever and ever, and then have like optional side content that people can stay busy with. And then also New Game Plus, it's a great way to keep playing the game without having to make the story last forever. That's
Yeah,
add new
yeah, like
challenges and
Spider-Man has New Game Plus.
difficulty.
So
And yeah, like that's just a sensible answer to this problem. I just don't yeah, I don't look forward to trying to finish Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Red Dead, because they're just, I mean, I'm sure they're great, but I do enjoy Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but the it's daunting to me, I guess, and I don't think the voice acting is very good. And
yeah, you got a
uh
lot of crap for that,
I
huh?
know, yeah. I am truly uh, a monster for not liking those accents, but I just
Yeah,
think they're kind of hokey.
I don't know.
They're
I
kind of
mean, I think it depends on the character. I might disagree with you. Because I really like Cassandra's accent. I
Me
thought that
too.
was really pronounced with Alexios, but I thought that was a more Alexios specific problem than I guess everyone in the game. I thought everyone else was like okay,
Yeah, I don't know.
but
Just
I don't know. It didn't really bother me. I guess in the way it bothered you, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too picky.
it
Just
doesn't. I mean, it's
something
your
about
right
it
to be
rubs me the
picky.
wrong way.
Like
Yeah, no, I know.
yeah,
It's true.
everyone's just getting so bad about it.
It's crazy. It's some of the responses I got. I'm just like, okay, wow, people are angry.
Yeah.
Like, what does this have to do? What does white male privilege have to do with this? Like, how is that a valid
Greek
criticism
people are
of my
still
argument?
white. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean,
I
they're
don't know. Whatever. I can't.
a little darker version of white, but they're
Yeah.
definitely white. Also, I wrote a whole article on how Cassandra is the better pick. So, like, I guess white male privilege. I don't know.
Yeah, I had Gamergate coming after me for that one where I
Yeah, I
said
saw that.
Cassandra should be the only option. They're like, you're trying to erase males. I'm like, oh,
I
were
got
you all
into
complaining when you couldn't be a woman in the first 9 games? Like,
You're right.
sure, okay.
I got dragged into that too, thanks to your article, because and I'm just like, no, there's people just saying like you're taking away choice. I'm like, no one is saying that we should now remove the character from the
Yeah,
game. Like,
first of all, that is not what I was proposing. It's just from the get-go it should have been like that. And like second of all, you're not demanding like choice in every game isn't necessarily a good thing. Like God of War would not have benefited from like a female option of Kratos. Like nobody was asking for that.
right,
Like it's
definitely not.
whatever. I can't do it again.
These silly controversies, I tell you, like
Yeah.
they are
I'm
so
becoming
easy.
somewhat more immune to them, but like every once in a while one will come up where I'm just like, oh come on.
I just try not to comment on them because
Yeah.
every time I do, I regret it. I'm like, oh, here we go again, and that's on top of all the actual real world political stuff that I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a rabbit hole for sure. Like,
Hmm.
I just, especially on social media, it's just like, oh my god, the way that people think, I just can't. I can't even. Um. Anyways, speaking of controversy, let's talk about Fallout 76,
All right, yeah. So we're 5 hours away from the beta launch, which starts at
which is weird.
7 o'clock, which I didn't know because I guess they're just starting with the stress test. Okay, so it's interesting because Bethesda's setting up this beta to be like a legitimate actual beta, whereas most of the time these days betas are kind of just like purely promotional material for the game. Like the game's done, like yeah, they're going to tweak some stuff here and there and like fix some bugs, but like Bethesda it seems to be going back to the days of like this is a really technical beta, like we got to fix a lot of stuff, like we got to really test these servers because we've never done multiplayer before, like this is going to be painful, and I haven't really seen that in a while, which is kind of interesting and kind of terrifying based on this letter they sent to fans yesterday,
Yeah,
which we've been talking about, which you
quite the
can
letter.
explain
Yeah,
that a little bit.
it's like a warning letter. It's like hey, you guys, this is Bethesda. You know about us and our buggy games. Like, this one's going to be buggy also. Maybe more buggy than usual because we don't usually make online only multiplayer games, yada, yada, yada. It's pretty. I mean, I get like warning people that the beta is going to be buggy is one thing, but it just sort of feels like they're talking about the game itself more than just the beta. Like, they're talking about not being ready, essentially.
They
It's a
literally have
strange
a line
letter.
where it's like, we don't think this game is finished, and like now we're going to
Yeah.
start working on like this game in a different way. And like I get that all games are kind of evolving after launch these days, like games of service, we add new stuff, but like they're straight up like, we didn't finish this game. Like it's going to have a lot of bugs, like bear with us, which is it's kind of weird. And like I don't really buy what they're selling here. Like they're
No.
like, oh, hey, we just, we wanted to try this fun experimental thing with Fallout. Like, who knows? We don't really know what this is. And like, we don't know how finished it is. And everyone just try and break it and have a good time. And I don't buy that because Fallout is like one of their biggest series. They are
Mhm.
releasing in literally the most crowded time of the year as a holiday release. And this game is enormous. This map is 4 times the size of Fallout 4. So like this
Yeah,
isn't
that's right.
some like game dev like jam that like they threw together on weekends or something, which is what they're making it sound like. They made a conscious decision to invest like a ton of time and money into this. and now they're kind of playing it off like an early access title, but it still costs $60, and like they're assuredly, I think there's still microtransactions, and they'll probably have DLC and like
Paid mods.
yeah, paid. Yeah, paid. Are they still doing that? God,
I think so.
I don't. Well, they can't have mods for multiplayer, can they?
Sure, they can.
Can you?
Why not? I mean, it depends on what
Well, then all the I guess it depends. But and like I don't know. This concept has weirded me out from the very start, and like I have admittedly been very negative about this despite not having played any of it yet, but everything about how it sounds, about the previews I have read and the gameplay footage I have seen, like, and now this letter being like, you know, see how it goes. I guess I have such low expectations now that maybe I'll just be pleasantly surprised, and this will be a pretty fun, just Fallout game that I can ignore a lot of this, you know, PvP BS I don't care about and never wanted in the first place. But
I mean, it's sort of like
I don't know.
trying to do Grand Theft Auto Online, right? Is that kind of the vibe? Like, it's not the same gameplay or whatever, but it's like, you know, it's like not an MMO. It's like like how many players per server are we talking?
I don't even know what they ended up with. I thought it was like 24 at one point, but it's definitely not like 100 or something. So I thought it was pretty low. I think it's like 20 to 30.
And it's survival, so like Conan Exiles also kind of.
Yeah, and now like, that's another thing. Like, why are you putting like thirst and hunger and stuff? Like, I get that like those were like optional hardcore things in other other versions of the game. Like, I don't want that. I hate that stuff. I don't want to do that. So now you're putting you're putting PvP in. You're putting survival stuff in. Like, that's is no longer really a part of the game because it's not slow motion anymore, which is the whole point. Like, there's no NPCs. Like, the story is like reduced to bare, but like what? Like, as the letter says, like, what is this?
What is this?
Like, I don't know. It looks like Fallout and vaguely smells like Fallout, but I have no actual idea what this is. So I guess I'll find out more in a couple hours. But
yeah, that's right. I don't know if I'll be playing that tonight or not. Maybe we'll see. So a couple thoughts, like, well, you know, with the hunger and thirst and stuff, I agree that in most games, I really don't get into that. Like Conan Exiles, I tried to play that game, and like, it's just like right away you're starving and you have to find water, and then you get killed and everything gets reset, and it's just too much. I mean, that's just personal taste. Yeah. But what I do remember thinking when Skyrim came out, and then there was talk of an MMO, which we later got, you know, the Elder Scrolls Online. I do remember thinking, wouldn't it be fun to have like an Elder Scrolls game where you could like co-op with friends online, you know? But I never really.
That's all anyone wanted, and I think they just wanted co-op Skyrim or co-op Fallout. But I think like the technical, I do understand sort of that like the technical reason for why that was not implemented is. Like, I get that because everything is so specifically instanced to one player that introducing another player in would have been,
but not in
pretty
a new
difficult. Game. Yeah,
if
but like
Elder Scrolls, you know, wherever, and it was like, and they did it just like Far Cry, where you can play the campaign solo, or you can drop in, drop out with friends. Like, I just think that would be
and like your friend doesn't like make story progression or whatever, but they can still get gear and level up and whatever.
Exactly, it would be a perfect way.
Like, I get that it is hard, but like that should have been what they did, and that's when everyone said like, oh well, we want multiplayer in these games. That's what they meant. They didn't mean like weird ass PvP.
Survival,
you know, grief citral, like stripping out all the story quests and characters. Like, what? Nobody, like, that's the thing. It's like, nobody asked for this game. And like, whether this game finds an audience or not is one story, but like, very clearly nobody asked for this game. And I mean, you're right. They might be trying to build on sort of a GTA 5 crazy ass success with online. But I do also think that was kind of a different circumstance, and that was not sold as a separate $60 game and used an entirely new map. Like, I think, you know, just Fallout 5 with co-op would have been brilliantly well received. And like, I get that this probably took less time because when you take all this, you know, NPCs and story quests out, you don't have a 500,000 page script to record. But I don't know. I have a hard time understanding like who this is for, and people like me who really do like the Fallout series, Like, I don't like the Fallout series because of just it's the world of Fallout. I like the Fallout series because of all these gameplay elements, which are now either gone or dramatically changed in 76. So that strikes me as very weird.
Yeah, it's well, I guess we will find out more soon. I am just my prediction is that it won't be terribly well received, but it will have like a surprising like hardcore community shape
Yeah,
around
there's
it.
already a hardcore
Regardless,
community
you
yelling at
know.
me online about it, so I
Well,
will
that's
not be
fun
surprised.
then.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for hardcore fans who like to yell at people about stuff.
Yeah.
It makes the world a better place. It really does.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so then, okay, we also have the elephant in the corner, which would be Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out in just a couple days.
Yep.
Which will have an online mode similar to GTA 5, and
Ugh,
I think maybe that'll be fun.
I
I think
guess.
I'm more interested in an open world like cowboy type thing than I am in just
Well,
spending
original Red
time.
Dead Online was actually pretty fun back before like any other single player games were really getting online modes. Like it was pretty bare bones, but it was actually kind of
Yeah,
good.
I don't think I ever
So
played it.
I think it'll have potential. I'm just not. I don't know. I just so was way outside of the reach of GTA 5 online that I don't know how much Red Dead Online will appeal to me, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. And Red Dead Redemption 2 itself, this it looks like a great game. I'm daunted by the length of it, and I don't know when I'll finish it. I I can't just sit down and play through 70 hours of a game. I just can't do it.
I can, and it's
I
terrible,
know
but
you do. I know you do, and I'm impressed with that. I personally, it
it's
just
not good
like
though. I don't think it's a good thing. Like, and it does
I
kind
don't
of
think.
warp. It warps your view of the game a bit, I think. And I might have to take more time with this one because I'm not really racing at this point. Like, I'm not reviewing it or trying to hit an embargo. But I will still probably, put in 8 hours a day for who knows how long. So
Yeah. Well, I would do that more if maybe I didn't have kids and all the other stuff. But I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't because I don't like really just playing that much of a game at any one time. I think it messes with my ability to be impartial, or things that shouldn't feel tedious start to feel tedious. Like maybe if I was playing it slower, these things wouldn't get on my nerves as much. I don't know.
yeah,
It's hard. This again, we're back to like the trick with reviewing games, which is just kind of an impossible thing. But so yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2. Is there anything else big coming out in the next week or
I
so?
mean, everyone fled that date. No one wanted
Yeah.
to be within like a mile of that. So I think it's November when we'll start seeing things pick up
Yeah.
again.
Well, yeah. I
We got
mean,
Battlefield
both,
5
which
and
which is one of the games that fled that date.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That was supposed to come out last weekend. And then like the
Oh,
Nintendo stuff, the Pokemon Let's Go and
oh
Smash
yeah.
Brothers in December, I think.
Yeah, they
And
always
I
have
know I'm
some late
missing
year
at least a
releases.
couple, but
Do you think though? Okay, here's a question about all these games like running away from the release of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not going to be as big as GTA 5. Like I just don't
no.
think it's going to be that kind of like I think it I don't know if it will outsell Black Ops
I think
4.
it'll be a solid number two behind Black Ops. I think
Yeah.
it'll get close, somewhat close to outselling Black Ops. But then again, and again, it was very hard to predict the success of GTA
Right.
5 to be that stratospheric. And if this game is as good as it probably is going to be, it also has the base of the original being so good, then everyone has played that over the years now. So like, and the original sold pretty well too. So
Yeah.
I do think it is going to be very big. I don't know if it'll be Black Ops big, and I don't think it'll be GTA 5 big, but I do think it was probably good for these no one
Yes.
else to really go near it, especially Battlefield.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think that one of the key differences between Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto is just Grand Theft Auto has been around. There's been more games. It's more popular
It's
as a
probably more
series.
accessible, whereas this is also
Yeah,
like a Western, and like the Western may not appeal to everyone, whereas GTA is just
right.
like modern day, like cars, guns, crimes, like everything. Like
Yeah,
it's maybe a little less niche, but
yeah, but yeah, it is going to be a big release, and big releases should not come out on the same week or whatever,
we
no
need
matter
more
what. I mean,
games in the summer, man. More summer
uh-huh.
releases. We had nothing for
Yeah,
like 2 months, at least 2.5 months. And then friggin' September hits and it's go, go, go until like early December. It's
I know
crazy.
I don't understand it. I really
Well, we have
don't.
this
I
we have
mean,
this like spring window now too, where it's like this February March, get everything in before the end of the fiscal year
yes.
rush, which I kind of like because that's like spreads things out from fall because all things almost used to be even worse.
Yeah.
But then there's just nothing during the summer every summer, which is bizarre.
Yeah, you have like these little blips like Pokemon Go,
Yeah, I mean
such
you'll
a
get
small
like a
games release
random
that in the
breakout or
summer.
something, but
Yeah. Or No Man's
they
Sky, which was
almost
August.
August is
Which
like
why
when
is
you
why it took
might get
me.
one or two. Like I think Shadow Mordor or something this year was August or Shadow War. Like you get like the early birds trying to sneak in there before it gets busy.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, and then
May, June, July is usually a desert. April, May, June,
yeah,
July.
I guess sometimes early May, but yeah, as soon as it starts to get nice out, and I guess that makes sense. But I think that like the thing that we've seen with some of these summer releases is, like with No Man's Sky, it was hugely controversial, and I don't know that it would have been if it was released in October or November when there was a bunch of other games
Yeah, maybe
coming out
less
too.
so. I mean, it wouldn't have owned the news cycle, but I mean
Right.
that's why Fortnite has been so dominant is because it's really had almost nothing to challenge it. Like it had a couple things in the winter, but those were like way
Yeah.
outside the genre, like God of War, Monster Hunter. But like
I can't believe
nothing,
we
there's
haven't
been
even
nothing
mentioned
but to
Fortnite.
challenge Fortnite. And now that there is stuff to challenge Fortnite, it's kind of fading. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, fading a little, but still
I
pretty
I mean
huge.
it's
I
still
mean,
huge, but I think I think we've definitely seen the peak of it at this point. But
yeah. I think what we're gonna see is like it has real good legs though, like GTA Online, and
yeah, it'll
people,
be like the League of
they can,
Legends of battle royale, where it'll
yeah,
fade, but it'll still be huge and still have a dedicated player base. So,
yeah,
but I do think going back, just circling back to Blackout, I think that's probably going to be the last big battle royale title. Honestly, like I just after this, I can't really see people tolerating too many upstarts like that are from smaller studios, and I can't see any other AAA games like really having a breakout. Like I don't think Battlefield 5 is really going to make an impact, and like maybe if Red Dead has some sort of weird battle royale mode, that could be okay. But I feel like the industry is probably going to just start shifting to the next thing at some point,
well, what I
whatever that
think
is.
what I think people sort of lose in this conversation is that battle royale is a mode,
It is, yeah. I
like
mean, I understand that
it's a
argument. So technically, you can apply it to any shooter, but obviously, it works better in some than
right, but it
others.
doesn't have to be 100 players. A battle royale can be 12 players. It doesn't, you can implement that mode in lots of
It
different
can,
ways,
but would
and
that be good, or
I
would
think
people
so.
like
Well,
it
I
as
think it
much?
could be, sure. Like,
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think
I
there's some
mean,
really interesting stuff going on with that. Like, there's the new Dying Light, which is that zombie game.
this is what I mean, though. Is
They
like I
have
think
a
you're gonna keep seeing takes on it, but like I
yeah,
definitely don't think
it's
you're gonna see
yeah,
any more hits on the scale of
right.
PUBG, Fortnite, Blackout. Like
No, probably not in
I
the
think
same.
that's it. I think that's the top three.
Well,
And
even Fortnite, if you're with like the getaway and then now the disco domination, they're doing things that are not battle royale in that game.
yeah,
Those are
well, I
not
mean,
battle
Battle
royale
Royale
modes.
is a spin-off of the original Fortnite, which has nothing to do with that. It was like a
Right.
defense game, save the world.
And Fortnite's better off when it has stuff like disco domination and things like that, where like in that mode you have respawns, you have to capture points. It's like
Yeah,
a clever take on domination, right?
I mean, you've even seen
It's just a
Overwatch do
mode.
that to a certain
Yeah,
extent, where they've put in different modes. Like it's still a hero shooter, but like they're doing all these different modes and events and stuff like that.
yeah. And that's what good games do. Like that's what they need. Like if you're
Yeah,
going to be an online shooter, you need to have lots of different modes. You don't need just battle royale. Even if you're going to do battle royale, you need to do capture the flag. You need to do these other modes that keep things interesting. And
yeah,
that's what I hope a lot of, I still hope that that one of the big takeaways from other games is the battle pass rather than the battle royale, because I think I'm going to write about this for Call of Duty. But I wish they had just done a straight up battle pass system instead of the season pass and this whole contraband stream. Like a battle pass system can
yeah. I don't know
obviously
why they
make a
did
lot of
both. That's
money,
weird.
and then they don't split the player base on the maps.
They're gonna
I'm
keep.
still
They're
so
like the
sad
only
that
one
they
of the
did
only
that.
people who can still get away with like map packs. Essentially,
But
they're gonna
it
keep milking
hurts the
that forever
game,
as long as they can.
Yeah, but they shouldn't. Like, I think they could make just as much money with 10-week battle pass subscription,
Yeah,
basically, and then people could have get all their cosmetics and fun stuff and stay engaged with the game, but not miss out on all that content. I had some people yelling at me when I suggested something like this. Like, I had somebody on Facebook say, "Why don't you stop selling ads on Forbes and then try to make money that way?" And I was like, "Okay,
If I had an alternate revenue stream that people liked more and probably paid the same, I would do that."
Yeah, if there was a better idea available, of course, I don't control that, not
Right.
being in control in any way of Forbes, but yeah, like, I don't know. I just think it would be so much, like, I think that you could have, Black Ops 4 could be a game that people played for years on PC, which we never see with Call of Duty games.
Yep.
But it could be if, instead of selling map packs and all that stuff, everyone had access to the content. So,
yep.
someday.
Someday.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to this, our return to the two-player podcast. And yeah, we will hopefully try to be a little more consistent in this, at least in the busy season with this. So. Catch you later.
See you.